So Destiny, my man, the debate lord himself, the guy who's out here streaming his brain into a million pieces, sits down and says, yeah, I vibe with ContraPoints on this one. And ContraPoints, if you don't know her, is like the queen of video essays, dropping hour-long masterpieces with glitter, wine, and existential dread all mixed together.
What does this mean? It means that I legitimately and genuinely believe, this is epitomized in ContraPoints talking, that when ContraPoints, I just want to play this. I should just have this clip ready. Does anybody have ContraPoints talking about trans spaces or whatever? Was it in here? What's an example of feels nice and sounds mean? An example of feels nice and sounds mean is when you got a friend who like banters with you, but he like clearly knows where the line is. And when you need him to like step up to like recognize him, he will always do that, you know? So like feels nice and sounds mean, I think is some where you go out, well, using the wheelchair example, right? Like you go out drinking with friends or some and chill. I don't know. Think of like a wheelchair ramp joke. You make a joke, it's otherizing. You're pointing out the fact that he's in a wheelchair, whatever. And it's like me, but like you guys, you're not crossing the line, you know. But like when you leave the bar at the end of the night and your friends are all taken off, you're like, hold on, I'm gonna help like Jim like get his car or whatever. Like regardless of like however you joke with him, like at the end of the day you have his back, and that's there's no question about that. There's never. I don't know how to express it, but there's never a question in your mind where it's like, is this guy like actually like a piece of shit? No, it's like absolutely not. Like this guy will always be there for me, 100%. You don't have to think about it, you know? I guess you can compare it to, I mean, obviously, maybe everybody thinks they're in the middle. I don't know. I mean, I would say I'm in the middle. I would hope, I guess. But like, so like I would joke with Dan all the time about juice or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't think Dan would ever think I would legitimately be after him on some juice ever. I don't think that would ever happen. I think that the issue is that progressives will progressives label everything to the left of one. Why can't I see my mouse? Oh, because it's turning this. They'll label everything to the left of one as like 4 or 5, which is obnoxious. So if you make any jokes or if you're problematic, they'll say that you're basically a white supremacist, which is and then you end up in this world where I genuinely do believe that minorities prefer to deal with people who are at like even 4 than people who are at 1. You'd rather a guy that's just kind of like a piece of joke and makes like a piece of there's like a guy who's like a piece of shit. He makes jokes about you all the time or whatever, but he treats you as a real human being. He's just like down on you on this like whatever minority status. But I think you'd almost rather deal with that guy than the people who are like ultra soy, who are like the condescending, crazy, like, oh my God, like we have to be sensitive to all of your whatever. I think that that's like it's the vibe that I get. Maybe not for everybody, but I feel like there's a decent chunk of people that have that feeling. Hold on one second. Is it this one?
Hundreds of hours making? Anyway, let's look at the tweet. This is the most scrutinized paragraph I've ever written, and it's so mediocre. This has happened to me before in hyper-woke spaces. Like it's me and a bunch of cis women, and we all have to go in a circle saying she, her because I'm there. There's this paradox where I can go to a sports bar in North Carolina and be Miss Ma'amed all night, no question. But in self-consciously inclusive spaces, I have to explain my pronouns and watch woke people awkwardly correct themselves every time they say, you guys. I guess it's good for people who use they, them only and want only gender-neutral language. But it comes at the minor expense of semi-passable transes like me, and that's super hard for us. So people interpreted this tweet as me being against the practice of sharing pronouns, which I'm literally just not. Like, I've actually been the person who initiates the pronoun circle many times. The backstory of this tweet is basically that I once got triggered in a situation where I was with a bunch of cis women and we all had to go around saying our pronouns, and like a typical triggered tranny, I tiptoed over to Twitter to type it out. But here's the thing, by the end of this thread I had already talked myself away from the initial frustration I was expressing. If you know my videos and my voice, then you know me saying it comes at the minor expense of semi-passable transes, and that's super hard for us is sarcastic. It's a minor expense. It's not actually very hard for us, Gorge. It's fine. But people on Twitter don't watch my videos and they don't get sarcasm. So people flipped out over this. I was getting dragged, and I made the poor decision to try to solve the tweet problem with more tweeting, which one...
Like, I think there's a degree of truth to this. I think I spoke about this the other day where I spoke about how, like, because progressives try so hard to tiptoe around and be nice and compassionate and understanding of everybody except for white people or guys, you end up in this weird world where conservatives are like, okay, well, listen, black people, minorities, and people, we're just going to do like general messaging. I feel like you can almost accidentally end up in a better place as a conservative to do messaging to people because it doesn't feel like there's constant pandering. And it's like, okay, like, bro, when I was reading, and again, I know that this is what I'm about to reference now is very online shit. Like, holy, when I was reading that math book that got published where it was like, black children can learn math better if they're running around outside. I'm like, what? Really? Is this really where we're at? Or that keeping a schedule, that's like a white man's concept? That's like Western imperialism? Really? So we're actually doing the CPT? That's a real thing now? Colored people time is a real thing now that we're putting in our education system? Get the fuck out of here. Like, I don't know. That's just like insanely, like unbelievably cringe to me. But Destiny, I think the problem is the asymmetry. Type 1 people have convinced left-wing politicians and media people to speak in a Type 1 way. Type 5 conservatives, however, are smarter than that and have made sure the public-facing conservatives only say Type 4 stuff out loud, which means the public can't tell that a lot of them behind the scenes are truly Type 5. Yeah, I mean, like, maybe. But, like, another issue, too, is that somebody said in YouTube chat, Destiny, you're ignoring how Trump paraded blacks for Trump. Okay, at the risk of being super white and getting this very wrong, because this is all vibed out, but like, this is the feeling I have. If you were to take an average far-right black guy.
She's out here talking about how leftists, bless their hearts, are so sensitive to jokes it's like they're allergic to laughter. And Destiny's nodding along like, yup, preach, sister. What's this all mean? It means we're divin headfirst into the swamp of human nonsense, where people can't tell the difference between a punchline and a punch to the face. Let's start with Destiny's riff, cause he's got this whole bit about feels nice, sounds mean. He's like, you ever have that buddy who's roasting you all night, calling you out, macking wheelchair ramp jokes, but then when the bar closes, he's the one helping you get your drunk ass into the car. I'm paraphrasing, but you get it. It's that dude who's slinging zingers like a stand-up comic at a dive bar, but deep down, you know he's got your back. Like he might say, man, you roll slower than my grandma after Thanksgiving. But then he's holding the door and macking, sure you don't tip over. That's the feels nice, sounds mean vibe. It's love wrapped in a cheap shot, and honestly, ain't that what friendship's all about? Now me, I've had buddies like that. Grew up with this guy, let's call him Ricky, who'd clown me nonstop. John, your hair looks like a possum got drunk and nested up there. Mean as hell, right? But when my truck broke down on the side of I-10, guess who showed up with a toe strap and a six-pack? Ricky. That's the gospel truth of it. You want someone who can dish it out but ain't gonna leave you hanging when the chips are down. Destiny's spittin' facts here. There's a difference between a joke that stings and a heart that's cold, and most folks can smell that difference a mile away. But then he flips it, right? He's like progressives, though they can't handle this. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh Lord, here we go. Destiny's got this theory, and stick with me, cause it's wild that leftists take anything even a little edgy and crank it up to 11. You make one off-color joke, and suddenly you're not just a guy with a bad sense of humor. You're a full-on supremacist, marching with tiki torches and a manifesto. He's like, they label everything to the left of one as a 4 or 5, and it's obnoxious. And I'm over here nodding like, yeah, man, I've seen that movie. Picture this, you're at a party, right? You're just vibbing, maybe you've had a couple beers and you say something dumb like, man, this ramp's steeper than my cousin's driveway, good thing you've got them wheels. It's a throwaway line, nothing deep. But then some progressive with a man bun and a kombucha in hand slides over like, excuse me, that's ableist rhetoric rooted in systemic oppression. Bro, what? I was just trying to say the ramp's janky. Now I'm getting a lecture about how I'm basically the reason society's broken. That's the jump Destiny's talking about, from a 1 to a 5 in 2 seconds flat. And here's where it gets juicy, cause he's like minorities, they'd rather deal with a 4 than a 1. Now, I ain't no expert, I'm just a dude who's been yelled at in a Waffle House a few times, but I kinda get it. You've got this guy who's a little rough around the edges, maybe he's cracking jokes that make your grandma clutch her pearls, but he's real. He's treating you like a person, not a project. Then you've got the Type 1 progressive who's so busy baying, sensitive, they're practically patting you on the head like a puppy. Oh, we must protect you, we must honor your struggle. Bro, chill. I just want a beer and a burger, not a TED Talk. I've seen this in the wild, y'all. Back in the day, I worked with this cat named Big Mike. He was a welder, built like a linebacker, and he'd roast everybody. Didn't matter who you were. He'd see me stumbling in at 6 a.m. and go, "John, you look like you slept in a dumpster again. Did the raccoons kick you out?" Savage, right? But when my dog got sick and I was broke, Big Mike slipped me $100 and said, "Don't tell nobody you're here." That's a 4, maybe a 5. Then you've got the coworker who's all, "I'm an ally, I'm here for you." But the second you say something they don't like, they're ghosting you faster than a Tinder date with bad breath. I'd take Big Mike any day. Now let's pivot to ContraPoints, cause she's the other half of this cosmic gumbo. She's got this tweet that's got folks in a tizzy, something about pronoun circles and hyperwoke spaces. She's like, "I'm out here in North Carolina getting miss and ma'am all night at a sports bar, no problem." But then I'm in some progressive circle and we're all saying, she, her, like it's a damn cult ritual, and I'm sitting there like, can we just drink already? She's half laughing, half crying, and I'm over here cackling. Cause I can see it so clear. You ever been in one of those rooms? It's like a support group for people who overthink everything. "Hi, I'm John," he, him, "and I'm just trying not to spill this coffee." And everybody's nodding like it's profound, but really, they're just waiting to correct you if you slip up and say "you guys" instead of "y'all," or whatever's gender neutral these days. Contra's point is, it's exhausting. She's like, "I'm trans, I'm passing fine out in the real world, but in these inclusive spaces, I'm jumping through hoops to prove I belong." It's like the woke police are out here giving her a ticket for not being oppressed enough. And then, "Oh man, this is gold." She's like, "People flipped out over this tweet cause they thought I hate pronoun circles. I do, I've started them myself." She's tipping over to Twitter to vent, and the internet's like, "Nah fam, you're cancelled." She's sarcastic about it, calls it a minor expense for semi-passable transes like her, but the Twitter mob ain't got time for nuance. They're out here with pitchforks, ready to burn her whole video essay empire down, and Destiny's watching this like, "See, this is what I'm talking about." Leftists can't take a joke or even a sarcastic sigh. I feel this in my bones, y'all. You ever try explaining a joke to someone who's already mad? It's like trying to teach a cat to fetch. You're just gonna end up scratched and confused. Contra's out here dropping glitter-dusted truth bombs, and people are missing the point cause they're too busy clutching their pearls. She's not saying pronoun circles are evil. She's saying sometimes they feel like a performance, and not everybody's got the energy for that. But good luck telling that to the keyboard warriors who think sarcasm's a hate crime. Destiny ties it all together with this bit about conservatives accidentally winning the messaging game. He's like, "Progressives are so busy pandering, oh, we've got to be compassionate to everybody except white dudes," that they end up sounding like they're talking down to you. Conservatives just go, "Hey, everybody, here's the deal," and it feels less fake. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, ain't that the truth? You've got one side written, math books about how black kids learn better running around outside, like what? And the other side's just like, "Math's math, figure it out." Guess which one feels less like a babysitter? I ain't saying conservatives are saints. Lord knows they've got their own clowns, but there's something to this vibe check. You ever meet someone who's trying so hard to be nice it's creepy? Like, "I'm gonna be your best friend and fix all your problems." Nah man, just hand me a wrench and let's fix the truck. That's where Destiny's going. The ultra-sensitive left's got this vibe that's suffocating, and sometimes you'd rather deal with a loudmouth who's at least honest about it. So what's the big picture? It's this. People are messy, jokes are messy, and trying to sanitize it all just makes everybody miserable. Destiny and ContraPoints are out here like, can we just laugh a little and still be human? And I'm with M. Life's too short to be mad about a wheelchair ramp joke when the guy telling it's the same one helping you up the damn thing. Let's keep it real, y'all. Crack a beer, crack a smile, and let's not turn every quip into a war.